steak, tired of eating this pad thai.
This is one of my good friends, Chandler Parsons. Loved by many, hated on the golf course. I mean, I've never seen someone that is loved so much in real life and just gets spit on in the golf course. Why do you ask? He doesn't lose. Never seen him lose one time.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
He's that guy.
Here's the thing. There's a Gen app, right, where it's like the international thing that it's an honor code. You post your scores, and there's no truthful golfer. You're either a sandbagger, which some claim I am. You're worse than you say you are, or there's a vanity, which that's worse to me.
That is just stupid.
That is just egomaniac. You love to say, "Oh, I'm a 5 handicap," and then I go and I shoot a 90. So there's two different golfers.
Copy.
I fall closer to the sandbagger.
Okay.
That's it. So either way, you're a liar. Either way, you're better or you're worse than you are.
You're full of shit either way.
Completely.
But why be full of shit? Why be full of shit and lose? I'd rather be full of shit and win.
Well, I do win. That's why I am. I'm full of shit and I win.
I love being on your team.
Yeah,
It's great.
Exactly.
I love it. All right. Another episode of Almost Canceled. I'm Stafford.
I'm Mike.
And this is Chandler fucking Parsons. One of the most charismatic guys off and on the field, whether it's basketball or golf. He is our guy. He is our coach. Coach, I have a gift for you today.
Look at this. Yeah.
Custom made for Coach.
Come on.
This is great. He'll never wear it.
Coach is my thing, but I call everybody coach.
So that's that. So
Yeah.
he calls me coach. It makes sense.
Like, no, bro, dude, man. It's everyone's coach.
You know, I will be honest. A lot of my dog and Coach, I do steal from Chandler.
Yeah.
I do. I
Trailblazer.
take his riz.
Yes. Put this here.
Yeah, throw it on the ground. You'll probably leave it
Thank
here.
you.
You'll probably leave it. That's great.
I threw it on the ground.
Chandler, NBA basketball player. You hold the record for the most three-pointers in, what is it, a quarter?
And a half.
And a half.
You really did your research.
I sure
there,
did.
Steph. Thanks.
God.
Team
It
honor.
was tied, by the way. I think Steph,
I was gonna say, did the Splash Brothers
Steph
come for
and
you?
Clay, I think, have tied it since, but nobody has broken the record. It's most three-pointers in a half.
Okay.
And it was 10.
All right.
Fully blacked
That's a
out.
lot of
A half.
points in a half.
In 24 minutes.
How did you, what is that?
It was crazy, dude. I was in Houston. It was and it was the second half. And the first half, I went 1 for 3 or 0 for 4, something that was awful.
Yeah.
And my coach was Coach Kevin McHale, legendary Celtic.
Of course.
And he literally said, alter, make plays on the other end of the floor, impact the game. Just stop shooting.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. And I go out there, hit the first one, hit the second one. Obviously, end up breaking the record, and make 10 threes in one half.
I'll show you.
Basically, after my coach told me to stop shooting. It was awesome.
You needed that
Shoot or
drive.
shoot.
It was insane. It was against Courtney Lee. It was against the Grizzlies, and
Shout
that's
out
who
Courtney.
actually ended up paying me my big contract was Memphis. So it was probably that game that put him over the top.
150 something later,
Yep.
the guy's here. Not bad.
All you gotta do is make 10 threes and a half, and you get a
that's
bag.
it. That's
doesn't
it.
seem-
How many of those years in the NBA did you actually play, and how many of those years did you actually?
So the first 3-4 years I was healthy.
Yeah.
I had a gnarly spill when I was one game in Indiana, and I chipped cartilage in my knee.
Yikes.
And just long story short, I'm not gonna bore you with the details, but from there I just basically wasn't the same. My knee kind of kept getting weak and weak. Then from that, I would overcompensate. I would tear my meniscus. I would rehab 6 months, and I would tear my other meniscus. So from there, I ended up having 6 surgeries and 28 procedures from that point forward for the rest of my career.
Gotcha.
So it's funny because people are always like, "Oh, you're overpaid." I'm like, "I sure." When you look at the big the big picture, but I was hurt, and it wasn't I was healthy or faking injuries. I literally had a hole in my knee the size of a quarter that just never healed.
That's terrible.
It sucked.
Oh God. I mean, yeah, you earn your money, but yeah,
It was
sucks when
tough.
You don't get to play.
And trust me, the people that it's funny, sports fans. I used to be a little kid that I would boo, Grant Hill was my guy in Orlando, and this motherfucker was hurt every season.
Yeah.
And I was and I always thought he was soft. Oh, he's a bitch. He just got paid and doesn't play. And I became that guy 20 years later. And I became that guy 20 years later. And I was like, no, bro, it's part of the game. It's part of life. It's not like you. Trust me, I want to be playing more than the dickhead in the crowd that's booing me, thinking I'm soft. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
This is my life. This is my career. Trust me, we want to play. We don't want to be hurt.
Yeah, that makes sense. So to get right into it, Chandler's happily married now. We're married.
Take the ring off while
Yes,
you answer these
yes,
questions.
absolutely. Before you were married, some would say that you were a bit of a playboy. Now, being in the NBA, being a handsome 6'10" with a ratchet, who are your starting 5?
Oh no. There's a legendary Derek Jeter picture. You see like his field where it's like there's a third and he's. Mine's not that good.
Close.
It's solid. I
Yeah.
think
No names.
Come on, we can't say
Okay.
names. We're adults, for God's sakes.
You know.
I respect
But it was a good run.
Yeah, it was a great run.
Every run's got to come to an end.
It was a great run. It was
Don't
good.
you wink at me.
That's crazy.
Don't you wink at me.
Can I go back to Florida?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Where are you from, first of all?
Yeah, so I grew up.
Where'd you grow up?
Born and raised in Orlando, Florida.
Okay, so you Florida boy through and
Yeah.
through. And
Well-
you just went over to Tallahassee?
No,
Gainesville.
so what's funny is, I was a sophomore in high school, and I was a late bloomer. Like my freshman year of high school, I made varsity baseball, JV basketball. I hit puberty when I was like 16 years old. I was like the last of my friends to hit puberty, and I had this crazy growth spurt. And my point guard in high school, his name was Nick Calathis. He ended up playing in the NBA. He still plays overseas. He committed to University of Florida as a freshman. This kid, Edwin Rios, he ended up committed to Miami as a freshman.
Wow.
And they were the 1 and 2 in the state, and I was 3. At the time, Florida hadn't offered me yet. It was just Florida State. So I sat there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to commit to Florida State. It feels right. Everyone else is doing it. I was 15 years old. I just started getting good. My recruitment hasn't even blown up yet. And
I'm sorry. You were number 3 in the state as a sophomore?
As a sophomore,
At
yeah.
what height?
I was probably 6'7" at the time.
And you hadn't hit, you were a late bloomer?
But I was 6'7". I was scrawny. I looked like a fucking iRobot. I had bad acne. I
yeah.
could shoot, though. I could always shoot. And every college coach in America would come to our practices to see Nick, and they would leave being like, oh, who's this
Chandler
cat? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
But these two other gentlemen you just mentioned were also freshmen when they committed?
they were freshmen. And they were
they
nice.
also just-
One was a 6'5", like point guard, like Nick Calathis. He's like kind of like a Steve Nash type, nice, see the floor, could score.
Wow.
And the other one was like a little lefty. He was the opposite of me. He was the guy that hit puberty when he was like 9 and was just better and stronger and faster than everybody. So long story short, Florida State I commit to. I'm hyped. I have a party. They're in the ACC at the time. They're like, I go to play Duke, North Carolina. And that summer is when I kind of like my body started changing. I was awful. I had like a bad AAU season. I didn't play well. And Florida State, the guy's still the coach, Leonard Hamilton, he called me and said, and by the way, this is in the newspaper, this is on news, like I'm committed. Hey, something fell through with the scholarships. We need you to reopen your recruitment up. And basically took as like a 15-year-old kid, took my scholarship offer away. So now I'm like, oh my God, I'm devastated. I'm like back to the drawing board. All my friends, I have all this Florida State fucking merch. I'm all in.
yeah.
And this dick took my scholarship away. So that high school season I go on, and that's when like I really started figuring out. I started working out, and that's when I became like top 15 in the country.
Jeez.
And Florida State had the audacity
To offer you.
to try and re-recruit me.
God
And it was the
damn.
best feeling in the world telling this coach,
Oh, yeah.
still, Leonard Hamilton, kiss my ass. Not only am I not going to Florida State, I'm going to go to Florida and bust your ass every time I play
Florida
you.
Gators, baby. Let's
And
go.
so that's when I literally went to University of Florida.
It's a great story.
Yeah,
It's a great
because of
story.
that.
And then Chandler becomes a Hall of Fame inductee for the Gators.
We got 2 Hall of Fame
With Joe Hayden.
Gators
go.
inductees. That's
the
amazing.
Same
Let's
weekend.
go.
Yeah, that was a riot. We just had that last summer. We went a whole weekend going on the field, having your jersey in the rafters. And Joe Hayden, you just met him. He's the greatest guy ever. And
sweetheart.
Dude never changed from day one to the highest paying quarter in the NFL.
Yep.
Just the same happy-go-lucky
Always.
guy. And so it was awesome to be able to experience that. And that's when Florida was crazy. That's when it was.
Yeah, you had a lot
They
of-
were winning all the championships. The 2 basketball championships just went back-to-back with Joakim Noah and them. They had Tebow. Aaron Hernandez was there. They had Callie Rivers, Doc Rivers' daughter, as the volleyball, and we won every baseball, softball.
guys were the
Ryan
shit.
Lochte,
Yeah, yeah.
remember Ryan Lochte?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was the swimmer at
Connor
the time.
Dwyer.
Connor Dwyer, yeah.
What's the wink for?
Yeah.
we'll get into that.
Don't out yourself.
Stop winking at me.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. Did you ever party with any of the football guys like Hernandez or the?
Yeah.
Pouncey
So you know what's
twins, or-
funny is Aaron Hernandez. At Florida, when you're an athlete, you couldn't pay guys back in the day,
Right.
right? You weren't actually legally allowed to get money until this NIL stuff. So there was ways around it where I got a scooter, I got like a Vespa, and that's how you used to whip around to class and shit.
Nice.
Aaron Hernandez used to ride on the back of my scooter
Stop.
Oh my
to class.
God.
And first of all, he was a big dude. He was like 6'5".
Yeah.
I'm 6'9". I had no clue, obviously, at the time. I'm an accomplice to a murderer.
Literally,
on the
you're
back
driving him to the murder scene.
on the back of my scooter. But the dude was completely
him up from the scene?
Yeah, he was completely normal. He always used to want to go to the rec center in Gainesville and just like hoop. He was nasty because he played on the Connecticut Bulldogs, which was Gino Auriemma, the legendary UConn coach, his son's AAU team. And Aaron Hernandez was on that team.
He was
Like,
a dog.
He could hoop.
Yeah.
So he'd always go, and we'd bring like 3 basketball players, 3 football players, and this dude would just ride on the back and just normal dude.
Yeah.
To see 2 tall people on the back of a Vespa. Do you have
Yeah.
any photo? I would love.
I'm sure I could. Yeah, scrummage one up. But that was crazy, man. I mean, obviously, everyone knows the story what happened
Right.
with him. But
Absolutely.
I didn't. Safe to say, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I think none of us saw that coming. That was wild.
And the documentary was dope too. But like Joe wasn't in it, and they left out so much crazy shit that went on during those years, and it was still the one Swamp Kings. Did you see it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And they left out all the tea.
They can only put in so much, right? I mean, there was a lot of good stuff in there too.
It showed you a lot of what encompassed.
But there
who
was
he
so many other situations that were fucking bananas.
You want to give us any?
I mean, it's all like the Chris Rainey, I think, threatened to kill a teacher. Percy Harvin, like, beat up his girl. Like, Urban Meyer was a coach. Apparently, he knew everything. So it was just all this stuff that everybody knew, but I guess obviously they refused to talk about.
You were the angel on campus.
And I was just the church boy, hardworking guy, first to practice, last to
yes,
leave
of
type of guy. Bible study. That was me.
Was it always your goal to kind of go play in the NHL, in the NBA?
It was, man. Like, I grew up, like I said, in Orlando, and my grandpa had season tickets to the Magic, and they were shitty seats, but like I'd go, like, there's 4 of us, but I'm the youngest of 4 boys, so every other 4 home games I'd get to go with my grandpa, and I remember watching like Shaq and Penny and Nick Anderson, these teams, and I think they're aliens, bro. I remember I saw Nick Anderson at the mall one time and like freaked out that he was actually like a real person.
Absolutely.
Like to me, there were these rock stars.
Yeah.
And so I always wanted to do it, but it was always so far-fetched. Like, no way. Like, my boy used to always make fun of me. Like, I'd always be like, I want to be in the NBA. And my buddy Posh would be like, they don't really look like you in the NBA. Like, insinuating, like, I was like a white dude, and, like, this is not usually the path.
The demographic.
But, yeah, I always wanted to. It was always my dream. But and then things just started, they slowly happened for me where, again, I was a late bloomer. And then once I started getting recruited by all these colleges, then Billy Donovan offers me a scholarship, then I'm an All-American. Then it was like, oh, shit, like, this can actually be possible, but never in a million years did I think it would actually happen.
Absolutely.
It's great.
So when you get that whenever you go to the draft, you hire an agent, all these things, it's becoming more and more real. Whenever the first round goes by, because you were drafted in the second round, correct?
Yeah.
Any type of nerves when that first round goes by?
Yeah, because in the NBA there's only two drafts, and it's the whole world. Like NFL, there's a lot of rounds, MLB, but this is 60 picks every single year, and there's dudes from China, there's dudes from Europe every single year. And I was a 4-year guy at Florida, which nowadays that's kind of frowned upon, right? It's almost like if you don't leave early, what's wrong? You have no potential. You kind of at this cap. And I was 21 years old, and I did everything in college where I was an All-American, I was Player of the Year, and I thought, to me, that would help my career. That would help a team right away, which it ended up happening. And then my agent told me, yeah, you're probably at latest going to go 25th to Boston. And at the time, that was Doc Rivers was the coach. I had known the family. He lived in Orlando. He was the coach of the Magic. I was like, yeah, it makes sense. So when that pick happened, I was like, fuck, like, because I don't think 26 to 30, I didn't even work out for him. So I was like, damn, that's not happening. And then, so the first round ends, and in the NBA, that first round is the only guaranteed money. 31 to 60, those picks, you have to negotiate that. And so I end up going 38 to the Rockets, which is great because they didn't really have a good small forward at the time. Kevin McHale was the coach, who was one of my favorite players growing up. And so that was a situation where I was going to where I knew I could play right away and compete, but my contract wasn't guaranteed. Damn. And if you guys remember, in 2011, there's a lockout right when I'm drafted.
Yeah.
So not only now do I get drafted in June, there's no season till like after Christmas that year. So it was insane. Like, I didn't sign my contract till late. I ended up going to Europe and playing in the EuroLeague for 3 months just to like make money.
Wow.
How was that?
That was fun. That was cool. That's when I met Donnie McGrath.
What a legend,
That's
Donnie
when
McGrath.
Donnie McGrath is this American dude, point guard, played at Providence.
Yeah.
Great guy.
And I remember, like, see, each European team gets 2 Americans. And so I go there, and Donnie McGrath is the other American. We're sitting there at dinner, and kind of like, it was like stepbrother. It was like, you drink? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah. You smoke? I'm like, yeah.
A little bit.
It's like, you party? And I'm like, and from that moment forward, We were
just
just
become
best
best
friends. And
friends?
he was
Yep.
like he was my other American, literally. And I was like the NBA player that they treated me awesome, and he was not. So like I had a sick apartment. He had like a trailer. He moved in with me. I got like a sick whip. He had to like take taxis. He
Damn.
rode with me. So we just hit it off. But that was a great experience. That was the first time I ever really like traveled and saw Europe. It was 3 months, everything paid for. And then when the lockout ended, I went to Houston. That's kind of where it all began.
Back to business.
You got paid. You got paid. So that when you first got drafted, you were like, cool, I have a contract, but I can't sign it until December.
Yeah, like my contract and your agent as a second round pick negotiates it. And at the time, I think they negotiated it was like a 4-year deal, but only the first 2 years were guaranteed. But yeah, I hadn't signed it till like the lockout, and they agreed to the terms.
Like, I have a job, I have money coming in, I promise.
Yeah, it's like I know it's
Not
coming.
yet,
I
though.
just don't
Yeah.
know when. I just don't know. And then I go to Europe. Now all of a sudden I have to play good in Europe again, or my team's going to cut me before I even get there. It was a whole hassle.
Pressure.
Yeah.
So once you got to the NBA, I mean, who was your least favorite player to go up against?
My least favorite
Like,
player.
who was the most
biggest-
difficult?
Who was the pain in the ass?
Yeah,
Biggest
who was-
pain in the
like,
ass?
like
son of a
like
bitch.
the obvious ones were I hated guarding Kobe, I hated guarding Kevin Durant, I hated guarding Steph Curry coming off screens. Those guys were just killers. But remember Wilson Chandler?
Yeah.
Wilson Chandler and Rudy Gay, which they were great players.
Wilson Chandler from the Knicks.
Yeah,
Yes.
Wilson Chandler and Rudy Gay, and they both were buckets. They both had years they averaged 15 to 20 points a game. But for whatever reason, anytime I played them, they were like my kryptonite. They would destroy me. Anytime I got caught in a switch, anytime I was one-on-one, they would bust my ass. And Danny Granger from Indiana Pacers back in the day, he used to
player.
cook me too. Everyone has that one matchup.
Good player.
Yeah. But then it's obviously like the LeBrons was tough. I used to hate I played a while ago, so I used to play against like Tim Duncan was a motherfucker.
Legend.
Like Kevin Garnett, like these guys.
That was Kevin. I heard Kevin talks a lot
He
of
was.
shit.
It sounds funny to say as like a 35-year-old man, but he's just the best way to describe him. He's mean. Like he's just he's just a mean dude. Like, and he's not off the court. He lives in Malibu. He's actually an awesome dude, but like he just is so intense and so intimidating. And like, again, I'm just like a normal white kid from Orlando. I had a poster of this guy on my wall growing up, and he's just
Crazy.
such an asshole.
Crazy.
Playing against him, I couldn't fathom it.
Garnett is such a
You
legend.
seen that video where he was like, trash?
Yeah.
Trash
Yeah.
ass
Oh, he's
nigga."
nuts. He fucking talks to himself. He screams. He beats his chest. He's an absolute maniac.
He also talked about how as a rookie he went after Michael Jordan and regretted that immediately. So that was a good soundbite
Yeah.
that I saw recently. NBA, a lot of the NBA, time you're on a plane, right?
Yes.
What goes on those planes, and do you have any funny stories to share with us? That
Yeah.
maybe people don't know?
So the team planes, obviously there's some short flights, there's some longer flights, but if you're a vet guy and if you're on a bigger contract, you play cards. And so there's usually like a table in the front of the plane. You can play, spades, you can play bourrée, tonk, which tonk is like a form of like gin rummy. And bourrée is spades, but one-on-one, and it gets up there.
Yeah.
So say I remember in Dallas, it would be me and Dirk would play, and then like Devin Harris and Vince Carter or Monte Ellis, like we had Rondo, like we had guys with like bread.
Yeah.
So you would play, and everyone would be in. It starts at $200 a person or something, so it doesn't sound like a lot. So 2. And if you get booed, which means you don't win any books, you have to match the pot, and you're out of the next game. So if that $800 was us for, match the pot, that's $1,600, and then someone else got booed, it keeps $3,200, and it just kept
fast.
going up. And you're on a 2-hour flight. I've seen a dude lose $45,000 on a flight from Houston to Dallas.
Yikes.
Yeah, it goes quick.
Yeah, that's
It's nuts. But then, like, you as a rookie, too, like, you don't play as a rookie. I remember as a rookie, I was making more money on my shoe deal than I was by the Rockets.
What was
It was
your
a
deal?
Chinese brand called Anta.
Anta.
What was that like walking Chinese shoes on the NBA court?
Awful. It was fucking terrible. I swear that's part of the reason why I fucked up my knees. It's just, they were so bad that I would literally wear Jordans, and because they would let me, because I was supposed to make my own shoe. I was supposed to go try and do this whole thing. Klay Thompson's still with him, I think. Look at his injuries.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I would literally put duct tape like over the jump man, and I would wear Jordans
Oh my God.
in the NBA games just because they were paying me so much money, and like basketball, the NBA is so big in
Yeah,
China.
yeah.
And I was on Houston where Yao Ming was. I was in Houston where Jeremy Lin was.
Yep.
So it was like a huge market there for Houston Rocket players. And I had a great relationship with them, but like, yeah, their products stinks.
Damn.
Yeah, not good. I think D'Lo and D Wade now are
D Wade is, yeah. When I was there, it was Anta, it was Kevin Garnett. Remember
Yeah.
Luis Scola?
yeah.
It was Klay Thompson and Rondo. So there's only 5 of us, and they gave everybody absolute bags. And it was funny because you're supposed to go to China and do the whole thing. And 2 of the years I had knee surgeries, and the other year I was on Team USA. So I never even went to China. I never even made my shoe.
Man, you're good at getting these bags, though, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
God bless you.
Oof.
Gosh.
The Chinese, I didn't even know.
Internationally.
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of people do it too. Damn, I'm cramping. A lot of people do it and sign it, but like, yeah, I'd rather, looking back on it now, I'd rather take less bread and go with, a Nike or Adidas.
Yeah, right, absolutely. I want to ask a question about, like, you love the game, you have a chance to fulfill your dream, play in the NBA, and these injuries, these crippling injuries come. How are you dealing with that? How are you trying? I mean, obviously you're trying to bounce back,
Yeah.
but this knee just won't heal. This hole in your knee won't fill up, for God's sake.
Yeah.
How is it affecting your mental? How's it affecting just your well-being?
Yeah, it's tough, man, because you, as an athlete, as an NBA player, you're given all the resources to do it, right? So that's what's funny is when you see a fan will see me at dinner, you know what I mean, or like a glass of wine in front of me, and now with social media, they'll tweet it, and I'm not focused, I'm not working hard. They didn't see that I was just in the facility for 6 to 8 hours before, and you do that every day, right? So you go there, you wake up 7 a.m., you're on a whole food regimen, you're on a whole training regimen, you're watching film. And then for me, when I was hurt, I was in the training room for 2 to 3 hours every day before and after practice. Wow. So you're sitting there doing it, and it's almost you come to an end where it's like, damn, man, I'm doing everything I can, like I'm staying in shape, you know what I mean? And my it's just not getting better, and it was tough. I remember when I signed my big deal in Memphis, that was the most money I had ever made in my life, and it was by far the most miserable I ever was.
Really?
And I think now, obviously now looking back on it, like now that contract and everything, that set up my life how it is now, but those 3 years, I was miserable, I was lonely, I was drinking, I was going out because then I wasn't playing, and it comes to a certain point where like, fuck, this is never gonna get better. Yep. Then you feel so alone, then you go outside your apartment and everyone fucking hates you and thinks you're soft. So like, it definitely, like the shit like Ben Simmons and stuff is going through, everyone can have their opinion on him and stuff, but like, it's hard, man. It's hard. There's all these expectations, and no one has higher expectations than you have of yourself. So when you don't reach them and you know you're doing everything you can, that's one thing, but then you have this whole personal life too, where like, I remember All-Star Weekend during Memphis, I would go, and I wasn't playing, I was hurt, and then All-Star Weekend, I went to Cabo with my boys. Yeah. I think Stafford was there, or King. And I posted this post on social media, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, how dare you go on this vacation?
How dare you enjoy your life?
Go on this trip, and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, I've been here 7 hours a day for 4 straight months. Everyone else on All-Star Weekend, but what? Because I'm hurt and I'm not playing, I can't go do that. It's like, kiss my ass. Like the shit like that, and like I wasn't good at handling that. Right. I would like talk back, and I would because
the Twitter fights.
like I'm not the kind of guy to sit there and let people talk shit to me. Like it's not gonna happen. So that was tough and that was difficult. And obviously, like I said, I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to be an All-Star. I wanted to keep playing right now. I retired at 31 years old. I didn't want to do that. Like I didn't. That sucks. And yes, financially, like, no one needs to feel bad for me because financially I got what I needed to have a great life now. But like, that doesn't mean I still didn't want to play basketball at the highest level.
Money doesn't solve everything. Money doesn't make you happy.
It helps.
It helps.
It
helps a lot. Again, I've never asked for a pity party ever. I have a great life. But like, would I rather be sitting, would I rather be doing this podcast right now, or would I rather be in the NBA? I'd be rather in the NBA, like doing what I love.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
I'd rather be in the NBA.
Yeah.
Damn. I can't, I get it. I was at no near of a level of you, but like I broke my foot twice when I was running track in college.
Yeah.
Couldn't get back to the speed. Couldn't fix whatever it was. And it was like, oh, wow, this is a kind of a lonely time because I can't do what I love.
Speaking of injuries and physicality, thinking back to the Jordan days, the 80s, the 90s, and now today you can't even touch anyone without calling a foul. What's your take on the change and how basketball has evolved?
Yeah, I think there's got to be a little bit more of a better balance, right? I think now with the way it's officiated, it's hard to play defense. And how you're taught as a kid, now they're offensive players, they're so talented where they're finding ways around it. They're finding the Drew Hanlons of the world are training these guys in the summer on how to get the whistle, how to get to the free throw line. So it's now impossible to be able to defend like Gary Payton did back in the day, or Beck's guys. So a lot of old heads, they think now the same kind of thing. They think the new guys are soft. It's like, not soft, bro. That's just how the refs are. The rules change. The rules are different. They're officiated differently. If you put LeBron James in the 90s with those rules, I guarantee you he would have mastered it. Like it's just a different rule setting. So like I do think the league is at an all-time high of talent and scoring, which is great. I would rather watch 140-point games than 85-point games.
For sure.
Like, you know what I
For
mean?
sure.
As a fan.
Yeah.
I think with the usage rate of three-pointers and the pace and transition, the Steph Currys, the Dame Lillards, these guys have changed the game. And yeah, it's fun to watch. But it is kind of taken. Like I remember when I played, if someone had 25 on me, like that guy busted my ass.
Yeah.
Now there's dudes getting 50, 60. Book averaged 50 last week. Like,
bro,
That's wild.
it's
nuts.
50 points. If someone gave me 50, I would get cut or traded or like beat up in the locker room. Now, Karl-Anthony Towns had 62. They lost, and like it's crazy. Like the numbers are through the roof, and part of it is because guys are talented now. Guys are shooting the ball at a higher clip. Guys are getting more possessions because they're just simply pling faster. But also, it's impossible to defend now.
I mean, it's like Luka had 73 recently.
It's insane.
Kobe had 81. Well, you know, obviously when Kobe was playing, you could tackle the poor guy, and there was
Right.
nothing. So
Well, that's I'm watching and it was I think it was the Towns game or the Joel game. I'm watching this. I'm like, this dude's gonna have 100 points. Like you know, the Will Chamberlain 100-point game. Like it's never gonna happen again. Watching this, I'm like, this is the first time I'm like, dude, it's possible. And then once you get going too, the Timberwolves ended up losing that game because they were feeding him so much they just got off track and literally just lost the game, trying to have him break a record. So that's when again the game gets ugly, and like the part of basketball is beautiful and swing makes the extra pass and go get a bucket. This now when a guy like Karl-Anthony Towns, I think he had 44 in the half or
crazy.
something. Like they're now trying to force it to them, and it does kind of disrupt the game. But again, I think that's more entertaining than watching, you know, low-scoring 90s old-school Pistons games when the score was 87-82. Like that sucks to watch.
what's MJ averaging in this new league?
He's leading the league in scoring, and again, I think he's gonna average 25 free throws a game. And it's tough because I actually had this argument last night because everyone that thinks Jordan's the GOAT, it's because they say, okay, well, what would he have done in today's NBA? So it's hypothetical though. Like we don't. He wasn't the best 3-point shooter. So like, would he even be like? I'm sure he could work at it, and if he was taking more, he'd be great at it. But the way he played, the way he was physical, the way he was guarded back then, now with the rules way more lenient, he would at least average 10 to 12 more points a game.
So you don't consider Michael Jordan the GOAT?
He's my GOAT. I think he's my favorite player of all time. I think he's the coolest motherfucker of all time.
Yeah,
everything
hell yeah.
he's done. But no, I think LeBron's a better, bigger,
Really?
stronger, faster version of him. I do. I think, and by the way, I'm not a big LeBron guy. I'm not the biggest fan. And I love Michael Jordan, so I have no bias. I played against LeBron, not Jordan. Like LeBron is just he's incredible, especially what he's doing now, and especially what he's doing at this age. I know he's lost in the finals, and I know all the stats against him, but I just can't help like what I see and I think he would do this in the '90s. I don't know if Jordan would do what he's doing now. I know LeBron would do it back then.
Okay.
So but they're all hypothetical. It's talking about the best and second best player of all time. It's funny.
It's true.
That's fair.
I think a better argument is who's the third.
Kobe.
Ooh.
Come on.
What do you mean?
Third best of all time.
Okay, Chan, who do you think?
I don't know, because I'm not like a big Wilt guy or like Kareem guy either. I
Yeah.
think you put him against like Shaq would
Crushed.
fucking dominate.
Dude.
I think Joel Embiid would dominate those guys. You know what I mean? I think.
What about Giannis?
I think
Is Giannis in there?
I think the game evolves. Like
Shaq is
it's not even a fair argument because like LeBron has the resources that MJ never had. He has got all his PRP and fucking Reginakine and Dr. Elatrosh, who literally can do his ACL with his eyes closed.
And hair transplants. And the
It
whole
doesn't.
thing.
So it's not even fair. It's not even fair argument. If MJ had the resources but now again we're hypothetically giving Jordan stuff like so you don't know.
That's fair.
Yeah. Okay. Go back to speaking of the physicality. Did you ever catch a bow or a trip from Draymond Green?
Not Draymond.
How about a nut grab?
What's funny is Draymond too is like this. He's a great example too of like fans and not like Draymond's awesome.
Really?
Off the court, he's cool as fuck.
So
he's
why is
funny.
he swinging bow? Is he just?
Well, because on the court,
heated?
he's a maniac, and on the court, he's emotional, and he lets himself go, and he's erratic, and he overreacts, and he's my boy, but it's obnoxious to watch him play on the court sometimes. Like, and Luka does the same thing, where Luka just bitches at the ref so much
see that,
all the time, to where it's awful, and it's like it's. they got to change, but then they're never going to change. Draymond Green's lost millions of dollars from like his temper and his attitude, and part you can argue that that's him. That's what makes him great, but no, it's a problem, and it's a real problem. But no, I never caught any.
Any strays?
Yeah, any strays from him.
Have you ever fined a significant amount in the NBA? And if so,
not from the NBA. Like I never. I actually got a really funny story.
Please.
So All-Star Weekend one year, where you get drug tested. You get drug tested 4 times, randomly in a season, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a rule that I didn't know about where if you are going to fail a drug test and you admit to it, you can call this doctor guy and you can get on the phone, and as long as you tell him what you did and you take the test and you only fail for those things, you get a pass. You don't fail the test, but you have to go to like this drug program. Like you heard about guys going in the drug program before.
Yeah.
That's
What a
part of the
system.
reason why they do that. Huh. So we go All-Star Weekend and come back, and I partied the whole weekend.
Sure.
And I'd already had like 2 or 3 drug tests, so I knew I was only going to have 1 more left. And so I get back, and I remember right when you go to your locker, if there's a slip, you can't leave either. So it's not like so I go to my locker, and I got the fucking sticky note that, all right, Parsons has a drug test today, and I'm panicking, I'm fucking sweating, I'm like, oh boy, and you can't like you can't leave. And I was nuts that weekend.
Yes, you
were you there?
So
No comment.
So I call the guy, and I tell my agent, he's like, yeah, call, like, you, because if you don't and you fail what I did, I would be out.
Just
like,
fired.
Done.
Yeah.
And so I go and I tell him, and I'm like, hey doc, like I misbehaved. I was acting out of character. Like this is not what I usually do. It was my boy's birthday, All-Star Weekend, whatever. It's like, okay, what'd you do? And I just go through the fucking scroll of everything I did, right? Smoked weed. I took a Viagra. I did pain pills. I did Molly. Like and I'm saying everything. And the guy, I remember, was silent. He just goes, I'm just glad you're alive.
Oh my God.
So I go, and so like I still take the test.
Sure.
So now I still have to piss all dirty in this cup, and then it's really true. 2 days later, and the team doesn't know. No one knows. And 2 days later, the guy calls me and goes, okay, you failed. And I said, for what? I only failed for weed. And so I basically snitched on myself, told them all this thing. Now 2 days after that, I'm fucking laying on this couch because they think I'm like a druggy freak.
Oh, God.
Because I just told them I partied one weekend in Cabo. So I had to do like this drug program thing for like 3 or 4 months during the next season where they drug test you every day for like 6 months.
Oh, you were in an outpatient facility.
I literally was like girl interrupted in a straitjacket because I told him I did like Molly at an All-Star Weekend before, and then only failed for weed.
Oh my God.
So I was like,
Son of a
man.
They wouldn't fire you for Viagra though, would they?
No, but like I think at the time that was like on the banned substance for whatever reason, and like, you know, like if I take a pain pill and I wasn't, didn't have a doctor's, like a script for it, you get fucked.
Damn.
And so you don't want to leave anything out. So again, I literally was like,
You're like, I wasn't sure. I was drunk, but just in case.
and then also they implement this in case like I go out one night and I feel dizzy or whatever the next morning, so you can openly tell it like, hey, I think something happened. But it didn't work for me.
Damn.
And now weed is legal in the NBA.
And now weed's legal, so I wouldn't even have been
unfucking believable,
patient.
Chan.
But it was hilarious, man. All my boys were crushing me because I snitched on myself.
You implicated yourself.
You got to use the system. You got to use the system, though. So
I had to.
I
I wasn't gonna go get expelled.
no, absolutely not. All right, so big golfer,
Love it.
big golf. Tell me some big gambling stories, because I'm sure you've had some super highs and some super lows. I mean, I've been on the golf course with this guy, and I'm just like, this is too big for me. I'm gonna step aside.
Yeah, you know what? Golfing to me has honestly made my retirement so much easier, right?
bet.
Because once you start, you get the bug. As an athlete, you want to perfect this. You want to get really good. And I don't know, you golf?
A little bit.
It's hard. It's
hard.
hard as fuck. This ball's on. I have a whole new respect for like guys that hit 92-mile-an-hour sliders because that thing's dancing, and I can't hit this ball that's on a tee.
Stationary.
And then the country club feeling kind of feels like an NBA locker room, right? Like all the camaraderie, the shit talking, the locker room attendant. It's the closest thing athletes have to that.
Yep.
And so when I started playing and COVID happens, the whole world closes down. What can you do when you're outside? It's hot. You're away from people. So I started golfing, and I loved it. And I got the bug. And I was bad for like the first 6 months, like unscorable, couldn't break 100. And then something happened out of nowhere where I started getting a little consistent. I joined Sherwood Country Club, and I started playing in these big money games. And I have a place in Cabo where I played. I won't say his name, but he's a legendary Canadian dude, and he's a huge gambler. And I had never broken 80 in my life. And so I go, and this guy, he's like a 13, 14 handicap. At the time, I was like the same, which is unheard of to break 80. Like, you're not supposed to do that.
Right.
And so we play at Chileno Bay and Cabo, and it's me and my boy and him and his boy, but we have an Indy, which one-on-one.
Individual bet.
Got you.
On the 18th hole, he wired me $29,000 because I shot a 79, broke 80 for the first time, and this dude got fleeced. He's awesome. He's a legend. Yeah, he's a legendary. No, but what's great is I played with this guy before too, like 3 times, and I was
So he
awful.
knew your quality.
So like he knew I wasn't like getting off on him. I just had like a crazy day where I was lights out.
It happens.
And 29,000. That's the most I ever won on a golf course.
Same golf course. Chandler had an amazing wedding in Chileno. I got lucky enough to play in his group, right? And we're on the last hole. Everyone's backed up behind us, and I need to make a 40-foot putt.
Oh, here we go.
Downhill, crazy rip to the right, and these assholes are like, fuck it, it's over, fuck you, this and that.
This is true.
Sink it.
Cash.
Sink it.
Wow.
He
Oh,
did.
yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
On my own wedding weekend.
Damn.
Let's
At
go,
least
boys.
Upstaged
Let's go.
him.
Appreciate that.
Well done.
That was great. Also, what a star-studded event. I mean, one of the most fun weddings
It was so
I
good.
have ever. I mean, I'm like Dirk and Joe and like funniest guy ever, Chase Crawford. By the way, first time meeting him. What a guy. Nice guy.
We had Schoolboy Q perform.
Oh,
Oh
my
my God.
He was my boy too, and like,
Yeah.
and he's like very quiet to himself, like gangster type of dude. You give him a microphone, he turns into this goddamn superstar.
Legend.
Like, it is
He's
unbelievable
got some
how
great
good he
tunes.
was. Super duper Kyle performed.
Super duper Kyle.
Joakim Noah was there. It was so lit.
It was fun.
Where'd you meet your wife?
So I met my wife in LA. She's from LA. She's a twin. And no, so it's actually funny. Like this is like 6 years ago now, and my boys set up a date. They went to TJ Taylor's birthday party, and I was out of town. And my homies were like, yo, like on the group chat, they're like, yo, these just 2 twins here. Like, you gotta meet them. They're so fun. They're so cool. And I'm like, no, they're not. Like I would have known them.
No, they're not.
Like, no, I never heard of them. They must not be that dope.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I like see their Instagram or whatever, and we look it up. And the following week when I'm back in town, the twin was dating one of my boys, and we set up this big dinner. Went to Javier's Century City. which
Love
is-
Javier's.
Yeah, so
In the
random.
mall.
In the mall. And I remember I was like, I'm not going on like a blind date with this chick. So I brought 2 girls with me.
Oh God.
Jesus. Just in case.
a
Buffer.
baller.
Well, because I'm
baller
like,
move.
and it wasn't like a set up thing, like a one-on-one date, but like it was like, all right, there's gonna be like, the twins and their 3 girls, and like us 5 guys. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna come prepared just in case.
Yeah.
So I go, and Haley is my wife's name. She's sitting directly across from me at the dinner, and I can tell there's kind of like a vibe, and she's beautiful, and she's funny as shit, and she's like one of the guys, and I could tell, I'm like, I like her. And we had a great night. We get super lit, and it was like an episode of like a reality TV show where I go down the stairs at Century City Mall, and there's 2 cars there, and it's like me and the 2 girls, and we'll go out, and like 2 of my boys go out, or my buddy and the twin and Haley go this way and go home, and it was like literally like a decision. And I swear to God, I went to that car, went with Haley, and been with her ever since.
rest is
It was-
history.
It was,
Yeah,
yeah, it was
Wow.
That's the coolest.
yeah, it was awesome,
That is the
man.
coolest.
That's literally how it happened. I wasn't looking. I had just went through like retiring and then, kind of home for the first time. And no, that's actually not true. That happened the year after that. But it just happened at the perfect time where I met her, and I was in my last year of my contract, and she basically came with me to Atlanta. I just got traded to Atlanta. And then I got in this car crash, and then COVID happened. So like when you live together with COVID, that doubles the time.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
we lived together all through COVID, and that was like 7 years equivalent.
Damn.
No, but it was great, and now we have 2 babies. I have a 2-year-old daughter
Amazing.
and a 4-month-old son.
Wow. Congratulations.
So yeah, it's happened fast, but it's been
The
awesome.
Parsons have some amazing house parties. You don't leave. You
Yeah,
sleep there.
we still
You
do
sleep
those,
there.
by the way. We got
With the kids.
yeah.
They have a whole
do it.
staff. Don't let him fool you like he's there. Like
Yeah, it's not like
come
they're
on.
doing keg stands or
Come
they're,
on, come
they're
on.
there somewhere. But yeah, we used to have a legendary 4th of July party. We had like the chain smokers up there up top. We had pickleball tournaments. We
Wow.
like that
a
party.
good time.
I like that.
Yeah.
Great
Did you stay
entertainers.
here? Or did you just home back in Orlando?
So my parents and my family are still in Orlando. We have a place in Malibu, and then we just moved to Hidden Hills.
Oh, okay. We're neighbors.
yeah.
Right on. That's what's up.
Are you over that way?
I'm over in Woodland Hills. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
We went to Monty's last night. You been to Monty's or Casalina?
I have not been to either of those.
Both are fire.
Out there by us.
It's like right on Topanga. Casalina is like a new Italian spot.
Copy.
Really, really good. And Monty's is kind of like a Craig's of the valley.
I've
Amazing.
heard of Joey's.
Joey's is cool too. Joey's is
Joey's.
like on,
Simple.
yeah, by the mall.
I love Joey's. We touch on cancel culture real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think that I've asked this question? You may have heard me ask this, Joe. This. Do you feel like cancel culture causes individuals to censor kind of their authentic and honest opinions
Yeah.
about? And have you witnessed that within your own life or with people within the sports world, acting world, whatever?
1,000%. I think nowadays everybody is so sensitive and everybody takes everything so literal and serious to where you're seeing comics get canceled
For jokes.
making jokes that I'm going there to watch them be foul and inappropriate, and then I get offended by it. Especially in my industry now, like if I'm, I go off on John Moran about being irresponsible and idiot, then all of a sudden I'm a racist because so everybody now has their opinion, and so I think advice, just obviously take that with a grain of salt, be who you are, but yeah, you have to watch. You got to watch what you say. You're not making, gay jokes. You're not saying, like, if you watch a movie back in the day, it's crazy because they'll say words where it's like, oh my God. Can
You haven't heard that
imagine?
word in a while.
Can you imagine if they said that now? So,
90s comedies?
yeah, so I do think it's gotten a little soft and it's gotten a little crazy, but
How do you remedy that? Do you
kind of the world we
just-
live in.
Do you think you just plow through and just continue? All right, cancel me. I'm not gonna be canceled.
Yeah, I mean, it depends though, because then you have your career, you have your personal life. Like I have a daughter. Like I don't want to get
Right.
canceled for saying some crazy shit or some homophobic thing or some. I can't even say I'm a Republican or vote for Trump without being tagged as a racist. Or I can't say I don't like. I don't want my daughter to be trans, and then all of a sudden I'm transphobic. It's like you can't say anything now,
Right.
so it's honestly best just to say nothing. But yeah, it comes to a point where you have your own opinion, you have your freedom of speech. So it's hard for me to bite my tongues because I have my opinion on a lot of things, and I think a lot of people agree with me. But yeah, it's gotten outrageous now, and especially here in LA and Hollywood. Like my parents, they're in Florida. I had asked them to move to Malibu, and they were like, hell no, no way we're moving out there. So
Two left.
Yeah.
it's different here, but yeah, it's gotten out of control.
Yes. No, yeah, you definitely seem like an individual who just says what's on his mind, and I respect that.
Yeah,
but also, you
got
got
to.
to do it to it.
But you also now you got to be smart about it.
You gotta
or else
massage it,
literally
you know?
it'll literally cost you money.
We're not in Florida anymore.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
not in Indiana anymore.
know?
Yeah, I hear
Yeah.
you. Well, listen, Chandler, thanks so much for spending your Sunday with us. That's another
Yeah.
episode of Almost Canceled. Chandler Parsons, everybody.
Thank you, Chan.
Can you hear the rain or no?
Oh, we
Can you hear the rain? I don't know. It's crazy. See you guys in 2 weeks.